whenever we capture errors from translation, and we collate all the errors into a document, and we call it a scorecard. So the first one we did, the Excel document with the macro, we developed it ourselves. We created the scorecard ourselves, and my husband, between you and me, wrote the macro behind it. So at the end of each month, I get all the scorecards from I get about 100 of 200, maybe 200 scorecards, and the macro opens them up one by one automatically and extract the data, and then we do our analysis. So this process is working really well.
Okay,
so that's the Excel document we sent you. And now we have acquired a new system called Trados.
Right.
And in Trados, there is an embedded, if you want, scorecard generated automatically by Trados. But because I'm going to use both systems going forward, I would like the Trados scorecard, the template they generate, to match the template we generated in-house.
Okay.
It's a bit of it's reformatting mostly, and then maybe we need also to write a macros to extract the documents the same way as it is in the first scorecard.
So the scorecard is what the first. There are two templates. So one is the Trados one you guys sent, and one is the regular flat template you guys sent. So the flat template is the one where basically somebody fills that information in that sheet.
Yeah, manually we put the information.
Right. Okay. So there'll be many people who will be filling that information sheet with Excel sheets, and send you many Excel sheets, and basically you consolidate basically the data for all those Excel sheets into a final Excel sheet in the same format, right?
Not the same format. It's in a list format.
Do you want me to show? Do you want us to show you what we create at the end of each month? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So you can show how people do these Excel template. What is the template, and then what is your final output when you run your macro? You get your output, right?
Yeah. I show you what I extract at the end of each month.
Right.
So the template we use is just the blank one of the scorecard we sent you, of the flat Excel, and so we fill that in. So that is our template, and then the one that Gail is about to show you is the.
Okay. So at the end of each month, you see, I work per language.
Can you share?
So at the end of each month, see February, I've got data analytics, and I work per language, right? So let's take German. So every month, I take all their scorecards, right?
Okay.
So in February, you can see the German department, they did 123 scorecards, right? So this is the scorecards we attached in our email.
Okay.
So let me close that. So this is what everybody uses, and as you can see, we've got the CRM case number,
right,
the date, the language itself, the name of our translation vendor, the name of the original linguist, the name of the certifying linguist, the name of the person in our team who does the audit, the number of pages, the number of words. And then we have, in here we capture the mistakes, and the mistakes we give you the original word, So here, file list, here you've got the output scorecard with, you see the file name, the case number, the document type, the date, the
headers,
language.
basically, all the headers, looks like, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So the header sections are all there in this one, okay.
Exactly. And this, we have two tabs, one at the business, at the, if you want, at the scorecard level, and one at the error level, where you get the fail, you get the quality score, the errors themselves with, you see the severity, the major, the points, the original, the target, the correction.
Basically, how many ever rows on the detail section, right? You grab it into this tab, correct?
Yeah, so we've got we should have 123. The same, I mean, no, this is the number of errors. So we've captured 562 errors, but in terms of error, but we've got 123 cases, right?
Correct.
And then obviously I've got my pivot after that, which gives me everything I need. So I can analyze the percentage of fail and pass. I can have the average quality for that month. I can have the number, the severity levels, how many are critical, how many are major, how many are, all of that. So basically, the macro is embedded in here. What is it? Is it of F11 to see the macro? Is it Alt F11? Yeah. So this is the macro my husband wrote, right? The BVA.
Okay.
So there's been quite a lot of work put into this, right? As you can see, but it's working really well, and we're using that every month. And what we'd like to do is replicate this with the other format, the format from Trados.
What does this do?
You have actually here two tabs, right? That is your input to your other processes, right?
So
in this Excel, I see basically from all the files you generate two tabs.
yes,
one with the header and one with the details.
Exactly. So
this is what it's feeding the other tabs, right? So the output scorecard is one tab where you have all the header information.
Yeah.
And the output error is the detail section, the bottom section in that Excel sheet, source Excel sheet. So these two are the input to your analysis, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So this is the higher level, if you want, without details. So it's the header. It's that. I show you. This is the header here.
Right.
Yeah, that's the output scorecard. It's the header at the bottom. It's this, yeah, right. All of this, and then the output errors is this.
Okay, the bottom section.
It's the bottom section. I mean, you still have this, but it captured the bottom section as well.
Right. So one goes to the first tab and one goes to the second tab, and
exactly.
That is what is used for analysis to generate all those other 3 or 4 tabs.
Exactly, and that's because obviously when I do my analysis, if I take the fail and pass, I'll be happy with just the header at the top. But if I do the error severity, I will need to refer to the output errors.
Right.
Whereas for average quality, I can just refer to output scorecard. So if you look here at my data source, here I'm looking at the 123, right? But if I go to error severity, I'm actually referring to the 562 errors, right?
Right.
So that's why we needed 2 tabs, because we are referring at different sources, either the error sources or the case number sources. Yeah?
Okay.
So now I will let Abby show you what Trados does.
Right.
And the reason why we are struggling to replicate that format. Okay?
Okay.
So let me stop sharing and I'll let Abby take over.
So would you like me to show you the entire process using Trados, or would you like to open up the scorecard, the Trados scorecard we sent you, and we can go from there?
Yeah. So anyway, we'll need to look at that final scorecard. But one thing is maybe how do you feed the data? Because in this case, in her case, basically she gets a lot of Excel sheets individually from different people, right? So then she consolidates it. So in your case, how do you feed the data to Trados?
Trados creates a report that we export in Excel format. XLS.
No, I know that. But how do you feed that data? It also needs a source. Do you do everything?
It's fed by Trados.
So in Trados, we correct the errors by just like in Word using track changes, you just make a correction, and then you can assign a category and a severity to the correction, and then a report is generated from that.
But from where does it get that initial data of a case? You give some input information, or everything is typed into Trados, or how is it?
So when our vendor creates a project in Trados, they name it the case number, and the name of the document, the source document, is also imported into Trados as part of the creation of the typical steps you do to create a project in Trados.
Okay.
That's all done by the vendor. Trados itself does a word count, so there's nothing taken from CRM in that step. There is an intermediate step when you're generating the report where you can put information in, such as whether it's a medical report or claims and other things. But when you're working in Trados, there's not much hand entering of data.
Right. So, but essentially, it's the same process. For each case, you have to open a project and then do whatever you want inside that, and it will give you an output Excel for that case, right?
Right. And however, the output Excel report does not calculate the pass-fail and the score the same way we do. So that has to be done in a manual step.
You want to show the scorecard?
Right. Ultimately,
so there are a few things data which is missing, like the document type, but whether it's a medical record or whether it's a claim, that is not something we can specify within Trados. And as I said, the calculation of the fail and pass is slightly different. It also doesn't generate a quality percentage, which we need because the contracts say that we need to be above 95%. So we need that. So there's a few things that needs to be programmed into the Excel document as well. Added.
So I can share my screen.
Yep.
So it's probably lots of tiny little writing. Can you see where it says translation quality assessment there at the top?
Right.
So this is the format that Trados generates the report in. And what we'd like to do for the macro to work that Gael uses at the end of the month is to have the output look like our current scorecard. So you'll see here that we have the project number, the date it was created, we have a pass-fail result, but that's calculated incorrectly. Then on our current scorecard, you'll see there's actually 3 tabs on our current scorecard. We only take data from the first tab, but information that's here, like the scoring categories and descriptions, is on other tabs in our scorecard, but that's not needed for the data analysis. So you have to wade through all of these. I've highlighted in yellow the data that's needed, but it's in a different spot. So down here we finally get to the name of the document. This section is data that I hand entered as the intermediate step for generating the report, but it's data that's not included on this report, but that we need. However, we could get that from CRM if we have download a CRM report and then integrate that data into Gael's analysis. And then here we have this is how it lays out the source text, how it was translated by the vendor translator, how I corrected it. And you'll see there's formatting there that shows what the correction is, which is different than our current scorecards. And so when it's copied from this type of scorecard, it has to be able to paste it with the formatting, the font formatting, so we can see what the correction was. TQA type is not a category we have, but it's not really needed. Then we have category. On our scorecard, category is actually two things. So we would have fluency and punctuation in 2 columns. Then severity and comment is basically the same. And then down below, there's also information that we need. We need the types of errors and what their points are. And the layout is different. So we've written up what the differences are. I've got these annotated scorecards that also show what the differences are between the two. I've also been working on macros that would reformat this output to look like ours, but we still have the issue that it doesn't calculate the score and pass-fail correctly, which is key information that we need at the time we generate it, because we put that information into CRM. So we have several ways we have to attack this. Ideally, you all could somehow figure out a plug-in to Trados that would calculate the score correctly and generate the formatting and data that looks the same as our current scorecard.
So when we contacted Trados, they told us that there is a plugin we can use that will allow us to develop a bit, to do a bit of development directly into our Trados. Is that something you guys feel confident in doing, or?
We are not aware of anything what is Trados doing and all those things. Right? It's all custom thing. We have to learn and analyze it and figure out basically what they offer or what's possible kind of stuff. It's not like directly, because it's a product on its own. So they have some SDKs, they have some documentation. So because I saw their plugin page, they have lot of plugins. So which is the plugin? Do you have any specific plugin that they told about?
No, I think what Gael means is they do provide the SDK so you can develop your own plugins. None of the ones that they have on in their plugin store will do what we need.
Well, do we have access to that Trados?
Bob Baumeister is the one who installed it for us, and he has credentials. I believe Dennis, you does as well. So I think you would have. I think Bob has the admin credentials, so you would have to talk to him about using those credentials. Because I'm not sure if we can get another set of credentials generated. Possibly we can.
Okay, if Bob did it, then yeah, we can use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
We just have to ask 2 people not to use theirs while you're using it, basically.
It's got floating licenses, but I think Bob has a way of creating a test desktop, because we access these on Citrix specific desktop just for Trados for us to use, because we all have Wise laptops, and that was how they ended up creating them for us. So I'm not sure the license will be an issue, Gael.
So may I repeat just quickly? So you have a Trados file. That's Excel file. And you want to convert it into your scorecards Excel file, which already has macros, which also fetches that data from the front page into 2 other tabs. Um, but the Trados file, you want to have a plugin will allow to convert into that scorecards Excel file output, right? Okay,
Exactly.
so the final destination is that those are your goal actually is those two tabs in scorecards Excel.
Yes. So we can analyze all the data monthly for every single language.
Okay, okay, but where? So what you just look at those two tabs visually, and that's all. You just want to have a Excel destination. Are you importing that final data into anywhere else? How you use it?
So when those two tabs are in a separate Excel document, not in the actual each individual scorecard, and then Gael creates the pivot tables to analyze the data in that Excel.
Pivot tables. So he makes like another tab with that pivot table, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he.
So because
okay.
every month I present to the client the quality score for each language and the number of errors and how many of those errors are critical or major, how many scorecards have failed and how many scorecards have passes. Then we go into the category of errors, the typology of errors, the severity of errors. So it's very granular, the analysis.
So it comes to like a sort of report, those pivot tables, the
yes.
kind of report, right?
It's for business analytics, absolutely.
And that so you send it somewhere. You send it to business analytics, right?
No, I present it directly to the client.
But you send it to the client, right? Email.
Well, I send a PowerPoint presentation to the client.
A PowerPoint. You send PowerPoint.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. I don't send my Excel document to the client, no.
Well, there could be different format of that report, you know. Okay, you use PowerPoint, but there is SSRS also. It can be emailed. Because looks like there is a whole chain of Excel files, you know, and macros. I'm wondering.
Well, we only have one at the moment. We only have one macro.
That consolidates all the data of all those 123 or whatever Excel files, and then gives populate those two tabs.
Yeah. Because the problem you're having is you need because every case, every translation becomes a scorecard, right? You need to open every scorecard individually to extract the data.
You don't even say basically it's a scorecard. See, each case supplies you some data.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Each case has some data associated with that, like that you have how much ever file. Each file is tied to a case, and then you consolidate all the case data into those two tabs, and then you do the analysis on the rest of the 3 or 4 tabs.
Yes. So at the moment, the macro is probably opening 250 scorecards monthly.
Right.
And the macro is attached to a document called, what is their document called that has the macro in it? Gail, is it Reader to Collate Scorecards? Is that the name of the document? Yeah. So I don't know if we sent that to you, but that is where the macro is housed, so to speak.
And then what do you do with those Excel files later? Do you store them somewhere? You archive them?
Yes, they are archived monthly, like the way I presented it to you.
Do you sometimes go back to them?
Yes, all the time, yeah.
Okay, so you do some kind of search?
Yeah, well, they are stored on our teams. Channels.
We store them by file name, so which has the case number. So we would do some sort of search or filtering.
Right. Do we have all the data points captured on the Trados report? Whatever is there on your manual scorecard there? Does that
We have
report
a
has
few.
all the?
We have a few field missing, as Abby said. Some of them need to be entered manually, like the name of the translator. That's not something that Trados populates automatically. So the name of the translator and the name of the person who reviews the translation, the two linguists, that will need to be input manually.
Yeah. So
the
that
number
anyway,
of pages.
Okay. But these informations are pretty manual, right? So there is no way in which you can get it out from inside what you feed inside Trados, right?
Right, but
At
you
the
can
moment,
get it
no.
from CRM if there was a way to, I've created a report in CRM that captures almost all of the data except for the score and the pass-fail that is missing from the Trados scorecard. So an intermediate step could be integrating the data from that report with the data from the Trados scorecards, with some sort of relational database setup.
Yeah, there might be a database here. You might want to import it into the database.
Right.
All of these files actually, and have a web front end, website using it. We can do another application sitting on that data and having it historical with searches.
So how would you handle the two different formats of the scorecards in that case?
Well, just import both of these files into the database. There will be two separate imports. So Trados files are coming and the scorecards are also coming. There are two separate streams, right?
No, Gregory. I think they want to avoid that manual process, right? They want to do everything from Trados, right?
Well, the problem is we won't be able to because not all translations are done in Trados, so we will have parallel scorecards always. We would like to have the vast majority in Trados, but there will never be a case where it's always that because our vendor does not translate all cases in Trados.
Okay. Some will be coming like the same process manually, and some will come out of Trados. So whichever is coming from Trados, you're trying to consume it into your current process.
Right.
We're trying to make both look the same at the end, so I can just do one process of analytics, not two processes of analytics.
I mean, if there's another way to do it, that would be great, but that is currently how we feel that it would be simplest for us.
Right.
Yeah, we need to think, what you're doing, you convert Trados files into scorecards file, and then you run scorecards macros to process it. But we can instead we can import the scorecards, import the Trados, and from the database side build that pivoting table or whatever you have on the final report.
Yeah, but you still need the macro, right?
Yeah. So, Gregory, I think they have a lot of these macros to do their analysis. So the thing, we don't want to basically touch what they are doing already manually. They're getting a file, right, with that from external file. So
yeah, that process is working.
Right,
that process is working.
For that particular case, if you can generate an output Excel in that format what you showed in that folder, right?
Right.
You got that 123 files, whatever. So if you can generate a file in that format, then your consumption will be the same format, right?
Yeah,
How you consume will be the same.
Exactly.
All you need is either directly from Trados, or you export this Excel and do some other further processing, whatever way it is. Finally, you have to try to generate a file that is in the structure of that input file what you showed in that folder, right?
Basically, yeah.
Right. So once it goes into that folder, then your macro will be able to consolidate it and then continue the same process.
Right.
Okay.
So one thing I haven't mentioned yet is that Trados can output the report in XML and several other formats.
Mm-hmm.
So if approaching this by working with style sheets or something else that would produce the output that we're looking for, the format, we're open to anything.
Okay.
If that's something that you're familiar with.
Okay.
How difficult is it for you to reformat
To
reformat the Trados document into the same format as the original scorecard?
Because if you see the Trados one, it's not like a flat structure, right? So it has so many subset of tables that are going there. So we have to see basically, because you cannot just assume it's not like a flat structure where you just read something and convert it to something. It's not like that, right? It's all lying all over. If you see that Excel export is lying all over the place. So how do we identify all those data points, right? Using some kind of a header or whatever. We have to use some field names or whatever. Or is there a way? Or the other side is basically if we can map all the data points that Trados can export basically into, as he told, basically, okay, these are the fields that we need, kind of stuff. And then instead of maybe in Excel, maybe as he told, because it can also output an XML file, right?
Yeah.
So that's what. So if we can, the first exercise, maybe we have to map basically what are all the fields that we need basically from Trados in your structure. In your structure, assume that you have some X field. So what is this X field in Trados, right? Something like that. So then maybe is there a way can you just?
We've given you have that info, but I'm happy to guide you through it.
Yeah. Is there a way can you also just export that one of those into an XML, and then maybe we'll just look at it, because working with an Excel embedded structure, what they did was from a data point they just generated those sections programmatically. Sure. So I don't think so. Gregory, do you think so? You can directly dump it. You cannot directly suck it into a database or anywhere, right? Directly, unless we go read line by line and try to understand parse the headers kind of stuff. Okay, this is the column we need, and then we read the data with column kind of stuff.
I tried to do mapping in Power Query, and it was too hard. It also didn't capture the formatting that we need captured.
Oh, yep. So now that's the other issue. So it's not about just the. So I don't know if you export it into XML, how it will be. How that formatting will be.
I can show you that in just 1 second. The screen I'm sharing right now, the macros that I have written are able to create a scorecard that looks fairly similar to ours.
Okay.
So it's possible that, we don't want to require the auditors to do the extra step of running the macro so that the output from Trados looks like this, but it is possible to do with macros, and it does capture the formatting.
How did you do here basically?
So I wrote, I and ChatGPT wrote a bunch of macros. Oh no,
ChatGPT wrote a macro.
Yeah, that's great at it.
We're having fun, as you can see.
Let's see, here's where my macros are. So to test it, I wrote macros for each step that would have to be done. So the first thing would be to save the workbook and add a sheet. So I added the sheet that's called scorecard. And then I put all the headings in. I put the formulas in that we use to calculate the score. And then I copy and paste all the data that we need. Either I have it search for a term and copy the field that's next to it if there's headings and things like that. So when I've run all of these and I am in the process of putting them all together in one macro, then I get this, which has everything in the right place basically for Gael's end of month macro or VBA to run on this.
So what did you give as input to your macros? You exported the Trados Excel file, and then you use that Excel file as an input.
Right. So
Or
this.
you copy, or you have different. Okay.
So this, what gets exported from Trados is just this sheet.
Okay.
And so my first macro is adding the other sheet called scorecard, and then
Right.
I use
Right.
that as the source worksheet for my data.
Okay, so you're reading everything. Your macro is actually reading from the first tab and then generating the second tab.
Right.
So all you need from Trados file is just one tab of data.
Right.
Okay.
And
Which
so,
becomes the scorecard, right? Which becomes
Right,
the,
right.
the
That
same
is your
scorecard.
manual scorecard currently you have.
Yeah.
Right.
so each auditor, every time they create a scorecard in Trados, would have to open up this score calculator workbook that I've created, because that's where all the macros are housed. They would need to do that anyway to calculate the score, because Trados doesn't calculate it correct. And so then they would have to do, I would put a button saying create macro, or create scorecard, and they could run it. So that's my, sort of intermediate solution at the moment, which is still more manual than we want it to be.
What's this? This is a Trados file, right?
So this is the workbook that I created to house the macros.
Oh, okay.
But the Trados file was this one.
Okay. So you want to take this and make that one from it.
Yeah, make the scorecard from
The
it.
second one. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is the structure of your current manual files, right?
Right.
But
Yeah.
you see, there are things that we will have to do manually, which is inserting the name of the original linguist name, because we don't have that in Trados.
Right.
Inserting the name of the certifying linguist, we don't have that in Trados. What else do we need?
So those we can get from CRM, but the audit, and we can get the auditor name. we can basically get everything from CRM except for the fail and the quality score.
I think what we can do is we don't need to deal with XML, Anand. We can just take this Trados file. It has a single spreadsheet of data. We can import it into .NET application and treat it in the buffer. All that data, fetch it export it in a different format. That's all. Meaning, fetch it into template. I want to see if we can fetch it into the template which already has the macros. If we can do that, then that macros can be just run on it.
Yep.
So,
let us show you the XML version.
yeah, it's not. So there we go. So that's XML, but here's the it also exports as HTML.
They applied a style sheet over that, and then they show the same what is on the Excel.
Oh, that was the XML from this spreadsheet?
HTML.
Most probably.
No. Previously there was XML made out of this, right?
Right.
How did you get that XML? You just export manually?
Yeah, it's so after you generate the scorecard, you can export it as HTML, XML, XLSX. Let me see if I can show you how that works. So reports.
So that's Trados, right?
I haven't run the report yet. Here, I'll just show you how you can do it here. Save as, this is not the scorecard, but it's a different report it generates. So we have XLSX, HTML, MHT, XML. So all the Trados reports can be exported in those formats.
XML, XLXX, okay. Oh, but original file is not XLXX. Okay. Well, that could be also okay. So you can manually export into XML, and then that XML can be imported into .NET and massaged there.
Yeah.
Is it easier to reformat from XML?
Well, I gotta
The only
check.
thing is, yeah, no, the only issue is I think we have to see basically they want to maintain some formatting of that correction, right? Something they told. I don't know how it will be. We have to see how it will be. Can you, so this area, right? Is there a way, can we just see how this is inside an XML? That's the only thing, because we have to see how it is putting this data into an XML file. Because XLS, if they generate into an Excel, they can apply any kind of formatting. But in XML, it's like a text, right? So what formatting they apply?
So, I mean, I think aren't there tags that indicate it at the word level? At least in, maybe I'm thinking of HTML, but I think, I looked into this a little bit, and I think you can have those tags there that indicate it, but then it wouldn't necessarily be exported once you collated the data in Excel.
You can open that XML file in a browser. It's gonna show you the structure hierarchically.
All right, let me.
Can you open that in a browser? Yep. I'll also set the document is shown below. Can you search for that translation or whatever, that particular keyword, so we know that which tag it is. So.
What was it? Let me see.
Correction. Column is called correction, right?
Oh, you know what? Sorry, this is that's for a different file.
Okay.
But
Can you export the same one into an XML and then you can search and see what it shows.
trying to find one where it was a deletion. Let's see. All right, so here, style, let's see. I guess, this would be similar. I guess it doesn't have the style, unless that's defined in a style sheet elsewhere. But yeah, I can provide you with this or the one for the ones you've been looking at, so you can poke around in there and try to figure that out if you'd like.
Okay. So we can import this XML into XML reader and then fetch it into scorecards file. Can do that.
But if there's another way to do it besides the formatting to show what the errors are, I mean, the formatting is only there for a type of error where you've replaced text or deleted it. Other types of errors don't have that as an issue. And on our current scorecard, we just type what the original was in one column and type what the final output was in another column. So if there's a way to capture that.
What about errors? What kind of errors you're talking about?
So
the
there's
corrections we're making to a translation.
So we have a bunch of different categories. You know, you can add if they've forgotten to translate a term, you add that in. So that would be an addition. If they've spelled something wrong, you correct the spelling. If they have, let's see, there's replacements, there's additions, there's deletions is basically what it is, are the three types that are captured with formatting in some way.
Is that in Trados file?
Yeah, let me show you. So when you're working on a translation, Trados imports, this one happens to be in German, but it has some English in it. So Trados imports it. You see that text on the left. It's sort of broken down into segments. Then on the right, you have the translation that the translator did. And if I were going to correct it, I just do it like in Word, do something like that. So this is what is captured on the output in the Trados reports when you generate the scorecard with Trados.
Okay.
The track changes like that.
Okay. This is a Trados application.
Right.
This Excel comes out of this, right?
Right.
When you export, you see that change with the track change.
Okay, but how? This is the source data basically. You just fetch it into a Trados Excel file, right?
Right. So what when I'm done with doing it, I do complete review. And then then I run a batch task, which is translation quality assessment. And then that generates the report here. And so you preview it like this, or you can save it as those formats I showed you before.
Yeah, but that generates report because it already applies certain format to that data. Does it do any calculation?
It does. It calculates here. Well, it generates pass-fail here. You can see there's a pass-fail threshold that I input as a setting, but as I said, it's incorrect. Trados doesn't calculate it the same way we do.
Okay.
And then, let's see where I'd have to, so it just tells.
Use the data and recalculate it, right? So you're trying to use the data, what is inside the Trados report and recalculate it.
Yes, so we have, it's not just a pure calculation, it's also if anything it's severity of critical, that's an automatic fail. So we both have a points calculation and factoring in whether any errors are critical.
Okay, but go back to your source, to the source of this data. I wanna know where is it coming from.
So we are sent the files from the translation vendor, and they have imported them. You know, so when you create a project in Trados, new project, you then you add a file.
Which is a Word document.
Which is a Word document.
Okay.
That's what the vendor sent you, that Word document, right?
Yeah.
No, they send us a Trados, it's the Trados native format, SDL, PROJ, I believe it is. SDL XLIT files.
Can we see that what comes from that vendor, that initial data file?
Do you just want to see it in File Explorer, or do you want to?
Yeah, like in a Notepad.
Okay, I'll see if I've got one here. Let's see.
You send a word, basically they create a Trados project and do whatever translation they want, and they generate a Trados output file and send you that output file, right?
Correct.
And then you again import into your, open it in Trados and then do some adjustments, whatever, and then finally you generate a report out of it.
Yeah.
See, maybe we can skip the Trados step altogether.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I'm saying maybe we can skip the whole Trados step altogether. Go ahead.
Well, you need Trados to generate the report, the quality report, right?
But you want to convert that report anyway.
Yes, but we need the report in order to convert it. Because what we get from the vendor is the translation file, but there's no analysis of errors.
Okay.
Right? Because we audit the translation file, so we create the quality report.
Okay.
And then we export that quality report, and we would like it to look like our manual, like the way we used to use it before we had Trados. We used to do it manually, so now we need those two to match, basically.
All right, so you're saying it doesn't make sense if we can just take your initial vendor file and just calculate it into your scorecards file, right? Just around the Trados without using Trados.
Right, we need to have that.
No, I think they're doing some more processing, looks like, right? After you get it from the vendor, you do some changes inside Trados before you export it?
I mean,
no, we don't do any. I mean, Trados itself, the interface looks like normal word processing, but this is not in Word. This is in Trados. Is that what you mean?
No. My question is, you send a document to the vendor, the translation vendor makes some translation, and they send that to your Trados file, right? After that, you open that file, and then you do some changes, or you do some quality assessment or whatever inside Trados, right?
Right.
With the work what they did, and after that only finally you export that into your report, right?
Right.
Well, how many changes? I mean, can we just open this? Can we import this into our application, do the same changes you do there, and export it into that scorecard file?
No, because we need to then send this file with the changes back to the vendor, which they then open in their Trados so that they can apply the changes to their database of translations, their translation memory.
Okay. So it's again, it's a back and forth.
We have a power of .NET here, and that can do anything. Trados does. All right. Well, okay. Looks like we have to use Trados as an import, not the vendor file.
Yeah, because the vendor file is all Trados internal file, right? They open it here, and again they do whatever they want here, and then finally they can export into whatever format.
Yeah.
Now they export into an Excel, so they can also export into an XML or whatever it is.
Even that, I believe.
Somehow that output has to be converted into their scorecard format.
And so I just wanted to show you one other thing. Before, when I showed you how I did the process of getting to the point where you generate the report, I skipped this stage, so we would actually have the opportunity here in evaluation comment field to add text, so I could put my name as the person who is doing the audit, and then that could be, that field is produced on the report, and so you could have that data to extract as well. And you can also manually change pass fail. So this is the point at which it would be nice to have the ability to know whether the pass or fail using our criteria, what it was, and our score, because you can override Trados' internal calculation of pass fail at this point. So if I were to be doing this now, I would be opening up my score calculator, I would put in the points and the words and whether there are any critical, and then I would go back to Trados and override by clicking one of these. I would also change the document type to medical record because we track whether it's medical record or claim. And this is something, a setting that I pre-did in Trados as a background setting. And then if I put my name here and do finish, when I then generate the report, that data will be on the report. So that's another, that's basically the only manual input step we have before exporting as Excel. So
how you pass and fail based on what?
So the pass and fail is the number of points divided by the number of penalty points divided by the number of words, right? And
well,
you
also,
have right.
Here's the formula for it.
But where we have where we differ from Trados is that, you know, we give severity of errors, so we did critical, major, minor, basically. But every time we have a critical error, that automatically triggers a fail, no matter the number of words. So a fail normally is 50 points per 1,000 words, but the minute you have a critical, it generates a fail anyway. So let's say we just had one critical error on 10,000 words, it will generate a fail.
By default, Trados always generates a fail. Even if it is having some critical, Trados always generates a fail. That's what
No,
you're saying?
Trados doesn't, but we do. We do in our manual scorecard.
Okay.
So that's why we need to tweak it a bit.
All we can tell Trados is the threshold for pass-fail is 50 characters per 1,000 characters, or 50 points per 1,000 characters, or whatever it is that we're telling it is.
1,000 words, yeah, not characters.
Yeah.
So you don't have any customizing or putting all those configurations, because it looks like a very complicated tool. So I don't know it will be so straightforward where there should be some way to configure your formulas, right? This is my business rule to calculate a pass or a fail. It cannot be just like a blank.
Yes, and that's when she gave me that. She referred me to that SDK and said you can develop it yourself in Trados. But we don't know how to do that, obviously.
I looked at those articles. There's nothing much into it, so we have to see basically. They say SDK, so I don't know what documentation. Nothing is there basically to see basically how it is calculated, how they use all those APIs and functions.
There are forums. There's a developer forum.
Right.
Yeah.
We can look into that a bit more if you want. We can give you the way it is currently calculated by Trados. What is it? You must know the formula, Abby, no, of Trados.
Well, we can tell it either by characters or by words, and I told it 50 words, 50 points per 1,000 words, but it is there's a defect, a known defect, and it only calculates by character. So even if Trados could be told how to do it properly, it doesn't do it because there's a defect.
Well, we can import any string and parse it into words or characters and calculate how many words. That's easy.
But does Trados populate the number of words, Abby?
It does.
Okay.
But the word count is so it's here. It does the number of characters and it does the number of words. Segments we don't care about, but it also does it down below. So if we are modifying this report, we should know that there's down here as well.
Okay, it's duplicate, yeah.
Yeah.
So we don't need. Yeah, I mean, maybe what we should do is really simplify these Trados to just leave you with what we need. And maybe with the
Yeah.
SDK, that's something we can do is make this much more simple with avoiding all the duplication.
Well, yeah, I mean, we need it to look just like our current one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
what's
is this
the...
big table that says what category description, severity is critical, major, minor? This table?
Yes. So
We
it's
don't
in
need
there.
that.
We don't need that table, right?
We don't need it. Well, I mean, we do.
No,
in
we
that-
do.
We don't actually, though, because if you use, let's see here, if we use the formulas that I did instead of the ones Jacome did, you can just say what the points are if you're doing it in Excel.
No, but we need to know which error is minor, which error is major, which error is critical, because I report on that, yeah.
Yeah, but we don't need to have this whole, every scorecard in Trados tells you what all the possible errors are and what their points are. We don't need that on each
No.
one.
No.
So where, so in this report, basically, where is your data? The top section, and then the next section is...
So it's here,
Yes.
and then it is, this is marked on the ones, the annotated ones I sent you. It's here, and it is,
These are the errors, right? These are the detailed records.
Yeah,
Right.
and the details, yeah.
and so this field right here, the evaluation comment, that's where I typed in my name, Abby Clay, and I could have typed in any other things as well. This is
Well,
the
yeah.
manual pass-fail that we can do manually. Up here is the one that Trados generates.
In your Excel sheet, I think you have highlighted a lot of things in yellow. So those are the only data points that you are interested in, right?
Right. The one that of the Trados scorecard, yeah.
Yeah, the yellow ones, whatever you
Yeah.
highlighted in yellow
Yeah.
color.
And I think I put notes on there for what the corresponding field is in our current scorecard.
Goes in P6, word count goes in F4, page goes in F5. Oh, so it says in which column it goes to, right? This goes in cell A9 of the scorecard. Okay.
We need to do some mapping here.
Yeah, that's what.
I'm sorry, it's a lot of information in the first meeting.
Yeah, I think, we got a lot of things. It's going to take some time for us to absorb all those things
Yeah.
and look
I
at
know
it, and maybe we
and
look into
please-
the API and maybe some forums basically where they would have told, no, how do you, when you export an Excel or whatever, how do you access the data points of Trados, right? So ultimately, inside Trados, these data are there lying somewhere. So basically, they try to use the data and then try to export in this format, right?
Right.
So we can see is there a way basically where we can bypass it and create an Excel basically in the way we need it.
Yeah.
Instead of putting too many things, like they might have put a lot of unnecessary information that we are not, we don't need it also. So
Yeah, develop our own Trados scorecard, yeah.
When I was, there is one app that's already been developed that has done something similar, and that app has already been installed in our version of Trados. It's the Report Viewer Plus app, the RWS app, and that generates, it has taken the Trados native reports and has generated them in a way that the app developer wanted them. So he's altered the layout, but unfortunately he's done it for reports that we don't care about, analysis reports. So, but if you look
that was
into the
done by the Trados team, or that was done by the Trados team, somebody?
I think it was actually done by an external app developer, but they offer it as a plugin.
Ah, okay.
But there's information about it. If you go to that app in the RWS App Store, and then you read the information about it, there will be a link to information about it within the forums, I believe. And so you can sort of find that information that way.
Yep.
What is it called, that app, Abby? Sorry, we can hardly see your screen.
Sorry, it's called Reports Viewer Plus.
Okay.
Maybe you can type it in the chat box. So report viewer plus. Okay.
Report Viewer Plus, and it's so the company is called RWS. Trados is a company called RWS.
I can send you. I can email you or send you on Teams the links of information I found about modifying reports.
Right.
You say
So
AWS.
please, I mean, you know, I understand it to digest all of this. There's a lot of information in one go. So please have a look and come back to us with any question on Teams. We'll be there.
Sure.
And if you want to have another meeting in a couple of days, then it's absolutely fine. We'll free ourselves to answer all your questions, because it's a big priority for us now. Because we'd like to use Trados to do the quality checks, and at the moment we can't do it because we cannot analyze the data. So
How many fields altogether do you think should be mapped into scorecards from the Trados? Approximately.
well, it's what's highlighted in yellow, right?
I don't know. It depends on the number of errors, but in terms of discrete fields, it's something like 20 or 15.
Okay.
Okay, then maybe we'll analyze this, and maybe if you have any other links or information, as you told about that app or whatever it is, you can just shoot an email, and then maybe we'll go through it, and then we'll see if any more questions or any more session. What do you say, Gregory?
Yeah, I'm thinking about this. Those errors, this error calculation process, we should also figure out maybe. Well, you do it manually. With
I can send you all the formulas if you'd like them that we use for calculating them in Excel if they're helpful. If not, that's fine.
Yeah, send us anything. They're inside. If you send Excel, maybe that macro is already in it.
Yeah, I'll send you my score calculator macro Excel so you can have all of the macros and the formulas.
Okay.
And I will send you the final document with all the data analytics and all the pivot and the button to open and close all the scorecards. It's called Reader V2. I don't think I've sent you that document.
Yeah, that pivot table, we never saw it.
Yeah, I'll send that to you as well.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. Is there anything else you need from us at this point?
Nothing. You have to just absorb it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you ever want me to do a screen share and do something in Trados, or if you get access to it through Bob and you have questions about how to import a file to practice with or anything like that, please just reach out. Happy to help.
Right. Can you also send that whatever reports that you generated, right, for that one of those reports with translation text or whatever, if you could send the XML output of that.
Will do.
Yeah. So at least we have an Excel already. We also need to have an XML so we can see which one to pass better.
I will do that. So XML, and I also will send you a link to style sheets that were generated by someone for a different report, so you can see how they set that up if you'd like.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Take care.
Thank you very
All right,
much.
you too.
Bye-bye.
All right, thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you. Goodbye.